All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build basically the exact same page. It'll look a little bit different because we're going to build it inside of Optimize Press. I just want you to know how this tool works, if this is the option that you choose for building your pages and your sales funnels with. So Optimize Press is a WordPress. You can install it as a theme or you can install it as a plugin. I recommend you install it as a theme, not as a plugin, which means it does overtake your entire site. And I'm not going to go into the details of how to do that. You can either hire somebody to install it for you, or you can do it yourself if you know how, or figure it out, or find some tutorials, but that's outside the scope of what we're going to cover in this video. So what you do to build a page is you're going to hover over on the left-hand side of your WordPress dashboard. You're going to hover over Optimize Press and go to Page Builder. That's going to open up the Optimize Press Page Builder interface, and you're going to go ahead and type in the name of your page. I'll call mine Test Lead Capture Page for Marketing Class. And notice this is going to be what shows up at the end of the URL. So they'd be going to, once this is done, they'd end up going to my website, mydomain.com/, and then this would be the slug or the URL ending or the permalink. And you can change this if you want. So I might just call it, Test Lead Capture Page, right? And then down here you can choose to either start with a blank page, use a content template, or use a saved preset. So after you build pages you like inside of Optimize Press, you can save them as templates, and I'll try to remember to show you how to do that here in a minute. So I do have some created. You won't have any, so I'll start with a content template. You will have some templates that come automatically with Optimize Press. They're sorted by the types of pages, like home pages, memberships, opt-in pages. So obviously we're going to go down to an opt-in page, and several of these are, it does come with some pre-made templates, and then if you want some other like cooler templates, you'd have to join the Optimize Press Clubhouse to get extra themes and page designs. And you're probably not going to find anything that's exactly like what you want. So what you do is you just find something that is close to what you're thinking you want. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one right here, Clean Style for Free Report Opt-in Page, because that's pretty close to what we're wanting, and it's real easy to change all this stuff. So we highlight that and we scroll down and we say proceed to step 2. And this is where we're going to obviously, edit our page. And the nice thing about Optimize Press is we can, if I don't want a logo up here, I can change anything that's on this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here first of all, because this logo, it's not even part of the page, it's part of the navigation. So I'm going to come over here where it says Layout Settings on the left. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to turn off the header navigation, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the footer area as well. Okay, now Optimize Press works in rows and then elements inside of those rows. All right, so what we've got here is we've got a row here that has like a gray background. We got a row up here that has a white background. I can add a new row if I want with columns and so forth. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, what we've got right here is just a headline. I'm going to click this little pencil button to edit that. And we'll put in the same headline that I used in my last example. Free download, 10 proven templates for generating targeted network marketing leads. We'll go ahead and put a break in this line. Remember that little tip I gave you in the last one? Instead of hitting enter, which puts a space between that line, we're going to hold shift and hit enter at the same time. If I wanted to change the color of my headline, I could come down here, like right now it's a blue. This is the custom font setting. So if I want it to be larger, if I wanted a different font, all of that stuff can be changed right inside of here. So I'll leave it open sans, and I'll just leave it that color for now. And let's just say I really wanted, targeted network marketing leads to really stick out. What I could do is I could click text color, and I could change just the color of that to be red, and I could underline it by clicking this little button here. And then I can say insert, right? And that's going to change my headline to be whatever I want. If I wanted to put an extra like a sub headline right here, I could. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this by clicking this little X button right here and get rid of that completely. So you can add new elements, get rid of elements. If I wanted to add a whole new row, all I'd have to do is just say add new row, and the rows work in terms of columns. So I could add a big one block column. I could split it into like 2 columns where I could have my picture on the left side, my opt-in box on the right-hand side. They've got all kinds of different column layouts, and you can see a visual representation of what those look like. I'm not going to create a new row, but if you did and you wanted to change the settings, like let's say I don't want this area to be gray, I can click right here where it says Edit Row Options. And instead of picking my background color to be gray, I could change this to be white. And I could come down here and change top border color. If I didn't want a border at all, I could just get rid of this. Because right now what that means is it's putting, let me hit update and you'll see what it means. You can see how in between, and by the way, if you want to see what your page looks like without seeing like the plus sign and all this stuff, come over here where it says show and hide controls on the left, and that'll kind of show you what your page looks like without those controls inside of it. So these lines here are the borders between the rows. If I didn't want that there, I could just click on this pencil and I could say, you know what, I want to delete the border and just get rid of it altogether and say update, and now there is no border. And then all I need to do is just click on each one of these elements to add it or change it or delete it. So this, like, I'm not gonna have anybody like my page, so I'll just get rid of the Facebook stuff right here. Over here on this side, I'm gonna put my picture. So all I'm gonna do is say change this, and all I got to do is say select a file. So I'm gonna remove this image, and I'm gonna say select file. And I'll just upload the same picture I did in my last example. I'll use my 10 proven headline formulas with the book cover and the shelf and the arrow pointing over to the right. We upload that. I'll go ahead and say full size and insert into post. You can change the dimensions down here. Obviously, I don't want it to be much bigger than 505 because otherwise it's going to look all stretched out. So we'll just say insert. Looks pretty good. It's got my picture over on this side, and then over on this side is where we change our opt-in box. I don't know why it's got this funky looking stuff up here. So we'll click here on the pencil, and the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to integrate our code that we put in. There's 2 ways you can do this. First of all, we can say custom form, and then all we got to do is paste in that code that we had last time. I'll go ahead and grab that code from my notepad. We copy all of this. Now, I do want to point out something about the redirect. If you use this option, where they go after they opt in is going to be written inside of this code. It's determined by what you did earlier when you created this form. Remember how we created the form and we said we want to send them over to such and such redirect place. If you use this option, and we copy this and we paste it in here, there is no option for where we're going to redirect those people. They just automatically go straight to whatever page we specified when we created this form, right? So if you wanted to change that, where they go, you would have to go back into Aweber, change the redirect page, and then you'd have to repaste this code inside of here. Does that make sense? And so down here, it's going to plug in this stuff automatically, and it's going to say, you know, the name field is name, email is email. Normally it gets this stuff right, so you don't have to change anything. And then we're just going to say, we can say insert, but there's actually a few other things we need to come up here and change. Under content, this is where all that funny gobbledygook is. So if I wanted to say, if I wanted to put a call to action here and say, enter your email address to get instant access, I could do that. And then if I want a privacy notice, obviously those things can change. This is going to be what's inside of the box. So if I wanted to say enter your first name only, I could put that there. Enter your, maybe if I wanted to say enter your best email address, and I'll just say insert you can change your submit button. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's say get free instant access, right? And you can change your button, like you can create a custom button. I'll just say use the default button but change my text, and let's go ahead and say insert. And now that changes my entire opt-in box to look exactly the way I want it. I've got my call to action, enter your email address to get instant access, enter your best email address, first name. And by the way, if I want their first name to be on top and their email address on bottom, let me show you how to do that, because OptimizePress does this kind of funny. Let's click the pencil again. Let's click on Form HTML, and let's scroll down here to make name be 0, This is name field order. Name is 0. Let's make emailed field 1. And now if we click insert, it'll flip-flop those. First name is on top, email address is on bottom. Cool. If I want to get rid of the name completely, let's show you 2 more things to do here. We can get rid of the name completely by saying disable name, and that's obviously only going to put in the email address. So that's how you do that. And finally, if you want the redirect page to be determined inside of Optimized Press and not inside of Aweber, what you would do here is you would click this drop down and you would choose Aweber. Now, in order for this to show up in this drop down, you have to set this up inside of your Optimized Press settings. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but once you do that, it connects with Aweber via their API, and the 2 programs talk to one another, and it grabs your provider list and it puts it in a drop down here. And so in this case, I could just say, you know, what page do I, what list on my Aweber account do I want to add them to? Let's say I wanted to add them to my Elite Marketing Pro list, which is this one right here. And then I can determine the thank you page based on what I put inside of Optimized Press, whereas if I use the custom form, this code will determine where they get redirected to. Does that make sense? So let's just go ahead and use Aweber. Let's put them on the list called EMP. And then I could put in whatever link I want here, and I can change that at any point down the road. So I'll just grab my affiliate link for the main Elite Marketing Pro sales page. You can, and then later on in the next module, when we create your real sales page for that actually brands you, we'll come back and we'll change this later on. Okay, so let's put that as the thank you page. We'll put in the email order. If I want the name here, I can put email 0, or sorry, name field is 0, email is 1. And I can add extra fields if I want, and I'm just going to go ahead and say insert. Cool. And then let me just show you 2 more really cool things about Optimized Press that you can do. First of all, let's go ahead and save this so we don't mess this up. So 2 things I want to show you. First of all, to save this, we can either save it as a draft and come back and edit it later, and the page won't be live until we actually say publish. I'm just going to go ahead and publish because nobody's going to find the page until I actually give them the URL. So I publish it, and you can either save it and close this editor down. I'm just going to save and continue for now. It pops up a little notification box. I'll say OK. And then a few things here I want to show you. First of all is save as preset. If I really like this page and I don't want to have to build it again from scratch, what I can do inside of Optimized Press is save this page as a preset. So I can click Save as Preset. I can say create a new preset, and I'll just call it Simple Opt-in with Left Side Graphic. And now anytime I go to create a page at any point in the future, I can grab that and it will have this, this entire thing. Now, I don't want the rest of this stuff here to show, so I'm just going to delete all these things. I'm going to click the X here. You can delete or add as many. In fact, I can delete an entire row. So instead of deleting all these elements individually, I just click here to click on the X, and that gets rid of that entire row. And my terms and conditions and privacy policy are actually built into Optimized Press. If you want to add these on your own, you can do that inside of Optimized Press. So once again, this is a little bit more technical. It's going to require you to know how to set a few more things up, but it does give you a lot of options. So let me show you one more really cool thing that you can do. If, let's say that instead of a picture, I had a video over here, just maybe a 2-minute video, and I didn't want them to know that this was an opt-in page until they watched the video. So what I could do, let's say I wanted to add a video. So let's show you, if I click this plus button, that's going to add a new element right up here inside of this row. So I click the plus button, and I'm going to click right here, and I can search for any element that I want. So let's say I wanted to put in a video on this page. I can click Video Player, and this is the only option I've got, so I click that. And then what I can do is I can say Embed Code, and I could go grab an embed code from, let's say, one of my Vimeo videos. So let's say I wanted this to be my call to action video that actually plays on the page. I can click this little share button right here, and I can say show options. I could say play immediately, and then all I got to do, I can select my size, and then all I got to do is copy and paste this code over into my video player right here, embed code, and I can change the dimensions and all of that. I believe my dimensions were 850 by, what was it, by 478. 478 is my height. I could put a border around it. I could say I want a 1 pixel border around my video, and I want it to be a black border. Okay, and I can come down here and say insert. And what that does is it puts my video in right here. A couple of other things I can show you here if I want there to be a bit more of a space. So let's show and hide controls. This shows me what my page looks like. Maybe I've got too much of a space between my video and my opt-in box, right? So maybe what I would do is show my controls and I click plus. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add vertical spacing, and I can add, let's say, 15 pixels of vertical spacing. And then well, that puts more space here. I want the space to be in between my headline and my video, so I can see this little arrows right here. I can drag that, so you can move any element around you want. I want that to be right here. And now that's going to put a space in between my video and my headline. And then if I still have too much space below my video and my actual box, my opt-in box, I would click right here on Edit Row Options, and I would change the padding. Bottom padding, that's how much space there's going to be at the bottom. I'll just go ahead and say 0, or get rid of it, and that'll get rid of all that space down there. And now what I can do is I can show and hide controls, and that squeezes things together a little bit better. And then I'm just showing you this, by the way, guys, just for illustration purposes, to show you what you can do inside of Optimize Press. You probably wouldn't want a video here, and the reason why is because it's going to push your opt-in below what's called below the fold. You typically don't want people to have to take any more steps than normal, right? You don't want to give them more resistance to have, like, even if it's just scrolling down the page, you want them to load the page and see exactly what they're getting and what they have to do. So I'm just showing you what you can do. If I did want to change the size of this video so that it was smaller, well, then I would change my width to be maybe I only wanted this to be a 550 pixel video. Okay. And that changes my size so that everything gets scrunched up. But this is the really cool thing you can do with Optimize Press and ClickFunnels that you cannot do with Elite Marketing Pro's Page Builder. First of all, I could put in a video and a picture if I wanted to. I don't necessarily recommend on a lead capture page you have both. You want to keep it simple. But what's really cool is, let's say I didn't want any of this stuff right here to show up until after they watch the video. You can put a timer on these things, and you cannot do that in the Elite Marketing Pro Page Builder. So I can click right here on this settings gear, and I can say delayed fade in and put the number of seconds. If I wanted it to be 2 minutes, I'd say 120 seconds. Just for illustration, I'll say 10 seconds just to show you how this page functions. And I can do the same thing here on this entire element. Click that, say 20 seconds, and say update. I can save and continue. And now that I've made more changes, let me save this preset one more time. I'm going to overwrite the old one, which was simple opt-in with left side graphic. We save it and say OK. And now if I save and close, this page will appear right here inside of all pages. If I click date to sort all of my pages by date, you can see test lead capture page for marketing class. If I click view, my video starts to play automatically. Okay, and this is why you want to get your dimensions of your video exact when you put it in, because you can see this black bar over here that is in kind of it doesn't have everything quite right. So you notice that my headline formulas showed up right away. That took longer. Maybe what did I do? Did I put the picture in at 10 seconds and the opt-in box at 20 seconds? Maybe that's what I did. So I can go in here and I can click, hover over Optimize Press, click Live Editor, and that brings up that same editing box. And I just change a couple of things. I click this gear, and that should have been 10 seconds, so it matched. And if I go back out and I reload this page, everything should show up after 10 seconds now instead of 20 seconds on that second one. And then hopefully it's crunched in tighter. It may not be, though. I'm not real sure why it's doing that. There's still a bit of a space here. So you do have to kind of do a little bit of playing around and figure stuff out. But in the end, what I would actually ultimately want my page to look like is I would not want that video there. If I did have a video, where I would put it, just for your knowledge, is I'd get rid of this. I'd X that out. And that would scrunch everything up here. I'd get rid of my spacer here if I don't want that. And if I did want a video, what I would do is I'd put it over here instead. So instead of an image, I would click this plus sign, and I would click video, video player, and I would add that video over on the left side, and I would replace this picture. And that's how you would do it, just by adding a new element, simply by clicking the plus, okay? But that's not what I want it to look like, so I'm going to say save and close. Let's reload our page. Oh, we still we don't want to do that. We still have those timers set, which means they're going to take 10 seconds to show up. That's way too long. People are going to go away. So in this instance, we'd get rid of that. Let's fix that by clicking on the gear. Get rid of the delayed fade in. Get rid of it on this element as well. And update and say save and close. Now let's reload this page. All right, and everything shows up automatically, and that's exactly what our page would look like. Pretty simple, pretty easy to do. And of course, you would want to test all of this. If I didn't want my name, you just uncheck that box in the options for this. But let's go ahead and test this and just make sure everything works. What list did I have people going to? We might as well check that out and make sure we know. All right, click the pencil. We've got them being added to MLMMBootcam. So we'll just double check and make sure that works. Reload the page to make sure all the code is in place. And I'll just put Tyson. And I'll just put Tyson's test email address at gmail.com. And we'll click get free instant access. And this should direct us not to where Aweber wanted us to go, but to where Optimize Press. I told Optimize Press we were going to go to the Elite Marketing Pro sales page. Let's make sure that's where it sends us. Sure does. Sends us right over to the page we told Optimize Press to send us over to. And then we take a look inside of Aweber. We log in and simply drop down in your drop down list, go to the list where you said to add them to. We're going to do MLMMB was the one I added them to. And we click right over here on subscribers, manage subscribers. And sure enough, there we are. Just added Tyson test email address 121314 at Gmail. Just so you know, I might as well tell you this. When you choose your list from this drop-down box, it uses what's called an API, and it sends messages over to Aweber. And sometimes Aweber doesn't like the fact that that it sent information from a place that it's not sure if it wants to add the email. And so what it will do is it will send out that confirmation email and not add them automatically to your list, even though you've set up the list options over here where you turned off the confirmation. So this is one of the reasons why I almost always, when I'm building a page inside of Optimize Press, I usually do not use this drop-down, this API integration option. Instead, I usually use the custom form, and I paste my HTML code in here from what we got earlier, because then what happens is Aweber doesn't have any issue with adding them to your list and not making them confirm their opt-in. Does that make sense? So this is the reason why I typically prefer to do it that way. You can test it out for yourself and see what it does, but I usually just put in an opt-in code. The only downside here is that if you want to change where they're going to be redirected, right, that has to be determined here. I go to sign up forms, I go to my opt-in form, and I say edit. And here, under settings, I would change where they're going to be redirected to, because if I test this right now, it's going to send them to a page that looks like this. That's not what I want. I want them to be redirected to my sales page. So you would have to end up changing this, custom page, putting in, my custom URL.com, and I would put it here as well. Oh, it wants me to put in a real address. All right, I'll just put google.com for now. And then I would say save my form. And then what I would have to do is anytime I change where it's going, I have to go back over and publish, install my form, recopy this HTML code, and repaste it back into my page inside of Optimize Press. That's one of the only kind of downsides with Optimize Press using that API integration. It doesn't always talk to Aweber quite right, and Aweber says, hey, I don't like where this person came from. Whereas if you use their code, their HTML code, they say, hey, this is all kosher, it's cool, we'll go ahead and let them in, and you don't have to, but the downside, of course, is you have to keep coming in and changing this page and repasting your opt-in code into your page. So I would come back in here, click the pencil, and repaste my form code. I'd get rid of the old stuff and repaste, okay? So that's exactly how you do all that. I'll just say insert and save and close the page. And that should show you pretty simply how to create a page inside of Optimize Press that looks pretty darn good and pretty simple. Okay, in the next video we'll show you how to use one more tool which is really simple to use and has a lot of options called ClickFunnels. We'll see you there. Bye.